Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back, and this is not just your weekly recap, but it's your year in review for 2025. We're going to break down the weirdly stressful and stupid year we just went through. So, inflation stayed annoyingly high, not to mention the cost of things, well, still seemed like an insult every time I got a bill somewhere. Business owners were definitely stressed. We know that straight from our business. Meanwhile, the internet spent the year in space, celebrating celebrities and a lot of Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Matt, 25 was good to us. It was exciting, but it did not lack stresses. You're right, supply chain, tariffs. But you know what? In hindsight, and hindsight is always 2020, I think the I think the there's a lot of smoke and not much fire. There really wasn't too much to be worried about. Like the tariffs didn't turn out to be so crazy. Inflation wasn't so bad. Unemployment is still very low single digits. Come on, guys, let's just toughen up.
Listen, I feel like this year just tended to be a little bit harder on the brain than the bank account.
I blame social media. Stay away from those streamings and you'll be fine. The stockings are stuffed. Matt, I got you a special gift this year, buddy. You're going to love it.
What do you got me?
And, would it be a surprise if I told you? Matt, come on. 'Tis the season.
Listen, I'm just going back to arguing on Twitter. All right, let's move on to the next one. So, Lou, it's like inflation did not explode in 2025, but it actually never left the chat. And every time I got a bill from somewhere, I was a little bit disgusted. How about you?
I think it was a lot of fluff, Matt. And I'll explain to you why. A year ago today, eggs cost like $294 for a dozen eggs, and fuel was extremely expensive. Now, fuel is at a 3-year low, and eggs are chicken feed. So I really think the news and the media platforms have made a meal of this inflation thing. I don't think it's that bad.
Listen, 100%, I agree with you. Inflation didn't kill businesses, but it definitely slowed them down a little bit. So Trump had a big year and he made big news headlines. People were arguing, yelling, screaming all over the Twitter feed, this time about executive orders and tariffs. What's your thoughts on the tariffs, Lou? What's the situation? It's not as bad as everybody thought from my point of view.
Matt, I think we have to reserve our decision here, right? Because if the Supreme Court comes back and says all these tariffs are a no-go and everyone's going to get a refund, but then you've got these big box retailers suing the White House administration because they had to pay tariffs when it wasn't within the executive branch's authority. This is like the ball's still up in the air. We're not certain which way this is going to go, buddy.
I think number 47 is going to get us out of this one again. Look, we all know bad news, it's manageable, but not knowing the rules, that's where you get into some issues.
All agreed.
Lou, was it just me or did every small business owner we talk about complain about not being able to hire again in 2025?
I think hiring is tough. I think there's a couple of things. I think that the typical worker got into the gig mentality where everyone's got a side hustle. Everybody wants to be a micro entrepreneur. So hiring people within those elaborate expectations becomes tough. And we're still caught up in that work from home, not coming into the office mentality. Yeah, I think those are a couple of pressures that make hiring very difficult right now.
Listen, I think the job market hasn't really moved because business owners just gave up. They cut the fat, they got rid of the C and D players, and they're just rolling a lot harder and faster with the A and B players, especially because of AI.
Words of wisdom from Matthew R. Meehan. As usual, all year long, you brought the heat.
Speaking of AI, AI has been, well, everywhere. Common sense is definitely optional though.
Why is AI the biggest term of the year? Why? They were even the inventors of AI were on the cover of Time. But why?
There's no inventors
Just because we're talking about it makes it important?
There's no inventors of AI. AI's been around since the 1940s. It's just repackaged and repurposed, right?
Exactly. It's all derivative knowledge. I mean, everything is AI. My mythosaurus is AI of the dictionary, right? Come on.
Well, listen, you're
we always find better systems. We always find efficiencies. Come on, this is
you're
America,
always
baby.
You're always a late adopter, right? Now, I do agree with you. AI has been the buzzword of the year. There's no doubt about it, but it's also been what's keeping this economy going and the investments coming into this country and the stock market, well, pretty much raging. So now you can still have your grandpa hat on because we know you're a late adopter, but AI is coming and it's taking jobs.
Does
And
that mean I have to get rid of my BlackBerry?
next. Well, truth be told, this year, people that had assets, they were invested in the stock market, they did really well. And the middle class, well, they got squeezed once again. We're definitely in what we saw, or what the pundits call a K-shaped economy. You know, the have-nots that don't have assets and aren't invested in the stock market and living day to day, well, they're feeling it. While the rest of the world that's out there buying luxury brands, flying on private jets, and sipping champagne, I finally got it out, sipping champagne, well, they seem to be having the time of their lives.
Matt, I agree. If there is one bit of bad news that came out of 25 from a business perspective, I think it's the fact that the middle class is shrinking, right? When you have that 1% owning more and more of the American wealth and that middle class shrinking, which is what keeps this system going. I mean, we are a consumer society, so we love to buy refrigerators and appliances and new homes. So that pressure on the middle class, I think that's going to hurt our economy more so than these silly tariffs and inflation. I mean, all these things are newsworthy. I think the big topic of conversation is what can we do to make the middle class more expansive? Let's bring back the American dream.
Well, listen, I think it's all about affordability, right? This is the big buzz term going around. Affordability. Nobody's talking about inflation anymore. And it's really true. I mean, if you look at the housing market, the average age of somebody buying a house this year is, or a starter house to start, is well above, almost in its 40s, where it used to be in the 20s and 30s years ago.
Yeah, the price of housing has highly surpassed the compensation for employment, right? So we've got to trim that gap just a little bit.
Lou, this is your topic, and take us home with the big, beautiful bill.
Matt, I got to tell you, DT47 pulled a rabbit out of his magic silk black cap on this one. How on earth did he get the big, beautiful bill passed? He got both sides of the aisle to agree to sweeping reform, both in tax credits, tax rates, bureaucracy, minimizing the administrative burden on business. Big, beautiful bill is beautiful.
But listen, I think the R&D tax credit's huge for small businesses. That's going to spun innovation, and the AI that you don't believe in, it's going to help a lot and get this economy moving forward and actually get our bill, our tax, our bill, or national debt down. Our national debt down.
I hope it's 37 trillion and counting, right?
Is it? It's higher than that right now. Oh, it's higher. It's
think
higher.
how much tequila. Think how much tequila
higher.
Congress can buy with $37 trillion, Matthew.
Keeps going. It's higher now. It's higher. It's higher. Stable
During the course of this podcast.
Stable coins to the rescue. Oh, here's a fun topic for Luigi. Lou, your favorite move. Quick hits from around the web, and the internet was totally unhinged this year. Why don't you start us off with one of your favorite topics on the internet?
Does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? And allow me to elaborate. Do people do crazy things because they want you to see them doing crazy things because it gets them more views? Or has society just lost a couple of scruples over the last few decades? Because there were some silly things going on.
It's definitely all about the eyeballs. Definitely all about the eyeballs. But one of my favorite things was Katy Perry. She went to space with Bezos' wife. Literally.
Did they really go to space? I mean, we always like to say 30,000-foot view looking down. I mean, didn't they go to like 30,000 feet and one? I mean, it really wasn't space. They kind of they saw the horizon and said, all right, let's come back down.
I think it was space. Look, pop stars and billionaires, I guess they're getting bored with gravity, so they're going up higher. Now, here's the one that really got to your heart. Don't get caught out there on the kissing cam. The CEO and the Coldplay concert.
Matt, I know you and Chrissy have been caught on the Garden Vision a couple of times, doing the little smoochy in the blue seats. Come on.
My question is, was that really a disaster, or was it just for promotion?
The question I ask all the time, both at home and with you and with our audience, is who cares? I'm not promoting infidelity, but if the guy wants to stoop with his secretary, why does the entire nation have to stop and comment? Who cares? He's a bad boy. Move on.
Listen, I just think that was a brilliant stunt by a brilliant PR team because nobody knew who he was the CEO of before.
Don't ever let any crisis go to waste. Leverage it.
Now, Lou, I know you were nervous in the beginning part of the year. Trump was elected, TikTok was getting shut down. What the audience doesn't know is that you're addicted to the TikTok.
I don't even think I have a TikTok account. I am not lying, buddy. I
Lou,
don't.
do the dance. Come on.
Which the Bee Gees? I think Jenny, one of our producers, she put together a little Bee Gees spiel for us for Christmas. I'm excited. Well, you could tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man. There's no time to talk. How could those guys achieve that pitch in their 30s?
I'm telling you, go to TikTok, search Rosa Bianca and Bee Gees. You'll find them. Sydney Sweeney wore jeans that launched a cultural debate in an ad. I think this was just stupid and blown out of proportion.
So, Matt, let's talk about this for a second, and not because she's an attractive, curvaceous woman, because I don't want to give too much credence to that. But here's the issue. For years, there was a certain definition of beauty. Over the last 10 years, we've tried to redefine what beauty means. Now, a woman who we can say is objectively attractive puts on a pair of jeans and promotes the jeans, and the world is up in arms because there's an attractive woman wearing a pair of jeans. I mean, Guess Marciano was doing this for years. Marilyn Monroe was doing her little dress swinging in the vents for years. It was never a big deal. You use beauty and sex to sell products. What's the big deal here? I don't see it.
It makes absolutely no sense. I guess the headlines were just, there was nothing going on that week.
It's possible. It's possible.
Next up, La Boo Boo. I'm still
all right, Matt. You got to fill me in. My son's not up to this La Boo Boo level thing. What is a La Boo Boo?
Look, I tried to buy a box of La Boo Boos. I was on a website. The website crashed. I didn't even know what it was. I came home and I asked my kids what they were. The only reason I was buying it was because I was sitting next to somebody who was telling me I had to do it too. And they'll be worth, you spend 50, they'll be worth 200 right after. You know, these little fidget crazes that go on. Long story short, didn't hear about it for about 3 months. Now they're all over the place. And my kids are asking for La Boo Boo.
Are they dolls?
They're scary little gremlin.
My wife said La Boo Boo the other day. I went to get a Band-Aid.
You're a La Fufu. It's actually a real thing. You can cut this out, but it's a real thing. It's the fake La Fufu. The fake La Boo Boo is called a La Fufu. So the real question is, I know we love to do quick hits around the web. So the real question is, I know we love to do quick hits from around the web, but does it really help people with their businesses?
Yes, it does, Matt, because being in business is stressful. An entrepreneur wears many hats, so adding a little bit of levity to the discourse, man, let's bring it light.
I know this year felt hard for everybody, but was it really as hard as we thought in the moment?
No, it wasn't hard. It's just that businesses have been buoyed for years with PPP and EIDL and PPP2 and then the ERTC and all these crazy municipal and state tax credits. This was the first year that entrepreneurs had to fend for themselves. So kudos to you entrepreneurs, man. You guys kick butt.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back to old school media because they're just focused on noise, right? The business owners, if you're listening right now, do yourself a favor. Filter everything out that noise. Focus on A to B. The economy was really good this year. It was serious. Culture was unserious. Staying focused and filtering out that noise is going to be your key to success in 2026.
Amen to that. Entrepreneurs, your biggest asset is time and time management. So stay away from scrolling, stay away from the socials, and focus on your clients and your products and services.
So let me ask you this, Lou. Let's backtrack for a second. What actually moved the needle for people in 2025?
I know it was a sense of optimism. With all his faults and critiques, Donald Trump is an avid entrepreneur at heart, and he brought optimism from day one. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to manufacture in U.S. We're going to make America great again. There was a theme here, and the theme was American optimism. right? So whether you're the chest pounding Hulk Hogan fan, by the way, rest in peace, Hulk, or you were just proud to be an American and buy all American, this is great, man. It's optimism.
I think in 2025, it actually, as we spoke about that K-shaped economy before, let's just not talk about consumers. Let's talk about business owners. The business owners that had their books in order, that were tightened up, even though we had some regulatory issues and regime changes inside of these three-letter agencies, and mostly I'm speaking about the SBA rule changes, they were prepared, right? Where the ones that weren't prepared and their T's weren't crossed and their I's weren't dotted got left behind. So what's the moral of the story here, Lou?
Get your shit together.
Bingo. Okay, so now let's move forward. We're out of 25. That year is done. Let's focus on 26, not what we did last year, but what we should do first. Lou, let me ask your opinion. What's the first thing business owners should do in 2026?
Proper accounting, because if you can't measure it, you can't fix it.
100%. I'll even go one step further with that. You should start spending more time on your taxes and not speak to your accountant once a year, 5 days before taxes are due. You should put aside at least 3 to 4 hours minimum every single month because you'll be setting yourself and your business up to have a much more profitable year. And you'll be more proactive than reactive. Now, one thing we see all the time is, business owners tend to want to sweep things onto the rug. What are we not sweeping onto the rug this year, Lou? What's one of our resolutions?
We're going to keep that credit high, baby. You got 720, you're going to 730. You got 780, you're going to 790. You got 800, we're going for 850.
100%, but we're going to do it the right way. We're going to keep personal expenses on personal credit cards, and say it with me here. We're going to build business credit and keep business expenses on business credit cards. Why are we going to do that, Lou?
We're going to sweenify your business credit.
Look, 2026, it's going to be about growth, not defense.
Oh, I like that. We're going on offense. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a special guest appearance. So much that happens behind the scenes is due to Jenny Scott's genius and ingenuity. Jenny, hi there. You're gonna end us with a bang. Let's go.
All right, 2025 in one word, go.
Optimism. Everybody seemed a little bit more optimistic once DT47 got in office.
Reset. I think 2025 was a great year to reset.
Most annoying trend, 2025. Who's going first?
Matt, you go first. M comes before L. Backwards.
6'7". 6'7". If my kids say 6'7" one more damn time, I'm out.
I'm so glad you said
now.
that. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. What does that mean, 6'7"?
I have no idea. I think it came from a rap song.
6'7"?
Just do it, 6'7". What do you got, Lou? What's your most annoying trend? What's one you can't wait to get rid of? What did I say?
Oh, I know what annoys me in 2025. How nobody wants to be accountable for their own actions. Everyone's always making excuses.
I agree with that. Accountability went out the window.
Yeah, let's start 26 with picking up your own selves by your bootstraps and just get the shit done.
All right, dumbest viral moment from 2025.
Oh, I got this one. This is definitely me, but it's so dumb. It's great. It's sensational. All in the same thing. DT47, Donald J. Trump trolling everybody on the internet, and the White House putting out memes. That was amazing.
I hate to do this, but I got to piggyback on my partner, Matthew. Those Mexican memes where he was making fun of the legislators with the Mexican hats and the piñatas, man, that cracked me up.
Best business move that nobody talked about.
I don't know if in my circle, everybody's talking about this, but I don't think the rest of the country really gets it yet. Banks and stable coins and the clarity that's coming into the crypto community that we've been waiting for forever. That's definitely mine. I know Luigi probably has a couple other ones up his sleeve.
I think this one went under the radar and not many people are noticing, but NVIDIA is buying very small percentages of their best clients. 4% here, 3% there, 5% there. Of all these big firms, people don't realize NVIDIA is a true technology firm. And to be at the avant-garde of technology, you got to be at the cutting edge. And how better to be at the cutting edge by collaborating with all these people? And also, what better way to breed loyalty with your clients than buying a minority interest in their firm. They're feeding the hand that feeds them. Very smart.
Right. All right. What's one thing that needs to die before 2026 hits us?
Matt, what really bothers me is how ticket platforms like Ticketmaster and others charge all these after-sale exorbitant fees, taking advantage of their monopolistic position. You end up buying tickets for $100, and by the time all is said and done, it's costing you $142. It's got to end. It's terrible.
I am totally with you there on that one. Now, what I'm going to say, let me just preface this with saying, I worked in bars, I worked in restaurants my whole life. I always worked on tips, but this tipping shit is out of control. Why do I have to walk into a Walgreens CVS and somebody that rings the register is asking me for a tip? It's insane. It's embarrassing. Now it's just getting super annoying because it doesn't start at 15%, 20%. Some places it's starting at 40 and 50%. This is just, it blows my mind. That's got to die.
Ludicrous. I think what happened was like the tradition in the food and beverage space expanded to everything else. I mean, you buy candy at a drugstore and they ask you for a tip. You buy coffee at a coffee shop. There's no service being rendered. You're buying an espresso. That doesn't deserve a tip. That's your job.
Dude, we were out somewhere with my daughter buying a t-shirt, and my daughter had my credit card, and she goes, I go, how much was it? She goes, it was $20, and I left a 40% tip. I'm like, what? Like, kids don't know. It's just, this cannot become a normal trend. And that is 2025. If you like what we said, if you hate what we said, at least tell me. I'll comment back. Maybe I'll even troll you. Maybe, Luigi, I'll even send you a meme. But that's a wrap for 2025. Hit the link in the comments below. Follow us next year as we're going to continue putting out the weekly.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy New
Year.
And
it's not happy holidays.
Let's go.